According to the FBI, crime in the United States has been declining over the past 5 years. What has remained constant is that the South still has the highest crime rates. The 2012 crime report shows this. There are many factors which attribute to these high crime rates. A study done by Cohen and Nisbet in 1996 shows that the South has a culture of honor. This culture ultimately leads to violence. In their study, they tested aggression levels of Southerners compared to citizens of other regions. The results showed that Southern aggression ran so deep that it actually affected their physiological state by increasing their testosterone levels. This aggression comes as a result of this culture of honor, which former sociologist Fisher describes in the following. From an early age, small boys were taught to think much of their own honor and to be active in its defense. Honor in this society meant a pride of manhood and masculine courage, physical strength, and warrior virtue. Male children were trained to defend their honor without a moment's hesitation, lashing out against their challenges with savage violence. The culture of honor and violence has prolonged over decades due to the differential learning theory. This theory states that you learn your values through intimate relationships. So, if you are a child watching your parent act with violence, you will learn the same thing and act the same way in the future. Another factor that could contribute to this phenomenon of violence in the South is the history of slavery and racism. This affects the amount of hate crimes committed. According to the UCR, 48% of the hate crimes in 2012 were about race. 65% of these were anti-Black. This number is staggering since only 13% of the U.S. population is Black. The 48% of racial hate crimes have not been sorted out by region, but as seen here, the South notably has more hate groups than any other region. Ever heard of the Southern gentleman and belle? Although these stereotypes are outdated, there is still an underlying theme of traditional gender roles in the South. A 1995 study by Rice and Cotes tested how prominent the gender roles were in the South. Their results showed that although roles are evolving, the South has more conservative views on gender roles than non-Southerners. This attitude of gender could be an explanation for higher forcible rapes in the South. Although the South does not have the highest rate for forcible rape, it still has a rate of 27.1 per 100,000. The social learning theory could also account for this, since many different types of media show Southern men as masculine and dominant and sexualize Southern women. Blake Shelton's song Boys Round Here shows this supermasculinity.
Yeah, the boys round here drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust.
Another key factor contributing to higher crime in the South is poverty. The South has the highest poverty rates. This could be a result of several factors, one being that there are few jobs. The South's main industry was the textile industry, and with jobs moving overseas, this leaves many people out of work. This is related to the social disorganization theory. Individuals who were working in cities with textile mills are now out of work and don't have the means to move to find new work.
You know, because we all need help. We all crying out for help. We all need jobs.
Most of my friends, you can just see them walking up and down the street. Man, I wish I had a job.
It's not a lot of jobs in this area because we don't have a lot of factories and places for people to work.
This ultimately starts the cycle of poverty. With poverty comes crime. This can be explained by the strain theory. The strain theory explains that crime is an adaptive problem-solving behavior. So, when a Southerner is put out of work, they may turn to crimes such as theft to survive. With lack of resources in an impoverished community, there is lack of education. As explained by the social control theory, individuals in these communities with little education may turn to crime. Without an education, they may be missing elements of the social bond, such as having strong commitments or being involved. What is the best way to approach high crime in the South? Depending on which theory you use to explain the high crime in the South, you may have different answers. If you look at it from a classical theorist perspective, you may say that higher deterrents are needed. However, the South already has the highest incarceration rate, so that is definitely something to consider when wanting to crack down. If you look at it through the sociological or social process theories, you may think that reform is the best solution, that funding is needed to create jobs and provide education and other resources. Regardless of which solution you think would work best, it can be agreed on that change is definitely needed.
Granted that you don't back no town up.